Just as the Madam Queen did her charging down the tracks in the 1880s and on into the 20th century. There was once a high school football program in East Texas that was a locomotive of its own, just barreling through the opposition. And the High School Extra's Keith Fletcher reports that Daingerfield High School once again is trying to get its program back on the championship track.
They were the team of the 1980s, producing state and national records of dominance by the handful. In the 1990s, however, the Daingerfield Tigers have only produced 3 winning seasons. Last year, they had their first playoff appearance of the decade, and it only lasted 1 week. In 1983, Daingerfield recorded 13 consecutive shutouts, 14 in all, both national records, and becoming the first ever 16-0 state champion in Texas. Overall, in the 1980s, the Tigers were 114, 15-4.
I think the ex-players probably put more pressure on these guys than anybody, but these guys want to do well. I mean, like I said, they want to add to this tradition. There's a lot of great tradition here, and, you know, I've got a good feeling about it.
Those Daingerfield teams of the mid-'80s were certainly memorable for everyone around the state, but here in Daingerfield, it's not only memorable, it's hard to forget. Most players on this team still have a copy of the tape put out by David Smoke at Tyler Station KLTV, and most players watch the highlight tape every day.
The defense continued to play outstanding football in the second quarter, holding Sweeney at bay.
We lived on defense. They didn't allow very many points, and I think we got a team this year that's going to do the same. And I think we can start back that tradition up again this year, start it back up and get it going again.
They started 2 weeks ago with a 13-0 opening win over last year's 4A state semifinalist Mount Pleasant, holding the Tigers to 2 first downs and 55 total yards. On Friday, Daingerfield down Tatum, and next week have another 4A playoff team of last year in Greenville. All a test before their District 15 3A schedule brings such teams as Atlanta, Queen City, and Omaha Paul Hewitt.
Yeah, I think our strength of offense, you know, we have a great running back in Duke and good quarterback and receivers, and I think our offense should be one of the top in the state. And our defense, you know, we were struggling at first, but we'll come along and our defense will carry us through games.
Junior back Duke Favors rushed for 138 yards on only 6 carries in the 66-3 blowout of Emory Rains in week 2. Another sign that indeed it could be the offense that carries this Daingerfield team to the playoffs and maybe even to their own highlight tape. In Daingerfield, Keith Fletcher, High School Extra.
That's all the time we have for this week's show. We're going to depart the Santa Fe Depot and head due south to the geographical center of Texas and the Concho Valley. Until next week, I'm Craig Way. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week at the
Away from a Class 2A state championship. They can take one step closer between the Daingerfield Tigers and the Tatum Eagles. It will be a lot of fun. Both schools are familiar with playoff success, but only one can enjoy it this weekend. Casey Norton has a preview.
The Daingerfield Tigers have their goals set.
I feel like we can go all the way.
But the Tatum Eagles have the same thing in mind.
We have a good chance of winning if we go to state.
Only one of the teams will be able to get it done. They'll face each other in Nacogdoches on Saturday.
Every week it's tough. You know, this week's even tougher, but, you know, we feel like we can win the game. I'm sure Tatum does too, and that's going to make it even better.
No doubt Daingerfield wants to win as well, but Tatum has a little extra incentive. After losing to the Tigers in week 3, they're primed for a rematch.
Yeah, we can take Daingerfield. The only reason they beat us was because we made our own mistakes. If we stopped the mistakes, it wasn't no way that Daingerfield could beat us.
Anytime you have a rematch with someone, well, I guess there's extra incentive there, but I think the fact that it's the quarterfinals and the opportunity to move on to playoffs is motivation enough.
Dangerfield's not worried about revenge. They just want to live to see another week.
It makes me want to work that much harder. To know that this may be my last, so every play I've got to give it everything I got. So that may be my last play.
Tatum will also be leaving it all on the field, but only one of the teams will finish what they've started. Casey Norton, East Texas Sports.
Should be a lot of fun. I'm going to go get a drink of water and see you tomorrow.
Jerry Jones needs a drink of water.